relationship. So I mentioned that this theme came up about halfway through February. And so today, as I was sitting in front of my computer after meditating, opening up to what wanted to be shared today, I thought, well, what is relationship? What does the word actually mean? So if you look it up, what comes up is, I have it here, is the way in which two or more concepts, objects, or people are connected, or the state of being connected. So that's what I really want to explore this month, is how are we connected? What does connection even mean for us? Do we feel like we are connected? Do we ever feel like we're disconnected? So for those of you who have been here a while, you may remember that in the fall we had 2 visioning forums where members were invited to come and take part in a visioning. And then for the first one, there was a community forum. And for the second one, I tried to do what Sherry would have done, but it was a little bit different. But from the 28 people who attended the 2 forums, 27 members and 1 non-member who attended several Celebrates and Elevates, we got a lot of information. And it was super cool because the whole point of a visioning is not to visualize based on what it is that you know and what it is you're familiar with, but it's to open up to God. Open up to spirit, open up to source, open up to that infinite potentiality of the quantum field, to what is possible that hasn't maybe yet been experienced. And so we did these visioning forums the Michael Bernard Beckwith way. So the question that was asked, or the questions that were asked, are what is the highest vision for VTC? In order for us to realize the highest vision for VTC, what must we become? What must we embrace? What must we release? And when it came to release, it was about letting go, but also unleashing out into the world and into our community. What else? Just in case any of those questions didn't capture something, so there was room for more. And then finally, what is my role in realizing that highest vision? And it was super cool to see all of the responses. Some we could tell, because some people wrote their names on there. Some we could tell by the penmanship. And some we were like, who is this? But in the end, we kind of figured out who everyone was, which wasn't as important as what was shared. And so it took several months for Sherry and I to distill that information and all of those insights down into what is now known as our VTC's values compass, which will be shared with the community soon. Values compass. And at the very heart of it is embodiment. That's our why. That is why this community exists. It may be different from what it started out as 90 plus years ago, but right now, what people are really interested in and are really, really wanting is to embody, is to feel and experience spirit in every single fiber of their being. Not just to think about it, not to talk about it, not to read about it, but to feel it and to be it as fully as possible. That's super exciting for me because that's the area that I play in. I'm like, how can I express more fully as love from one moment to the next in my relationships with people, with the community, as a minister in the work that I do, with my family, with our cat, with strangers, with time, with energy, with focus. All of it. How can I express more fully as that thing that I truly, truly know myself to be, knowing that there is always so much more to experience, so much more to open up to, so much more authenticity to unleash out into life. So recently, one of the things I learned, and it was actually through our book study, was that Emma Smiley, at some point during her teachings, offered that the most important thing in life is to be happy. And it was a really, really interesting thing because when people started talking about this, it was kind of unsettling because even though being happy sounds like such an amazing and lofty goal, what it can also mean is sometimes if you're not happy, then maybe you're not doing it right. If you're not happy, then maybe there's something wrong with you. If you're not happy, it means people around you aren't going to be happy, so you better pretend to be happy or else. And this made me remember what I felt like growing up a lot of the time, and honestly, what this last month and a half has felt like for me. And so being as someone who stands up in the front of the room, whose one job it is, or at least the way that I was trained, to inspire people so that you can open up to whatever it is that is already alive and active within you, so that you can find whatever answers you have to any questions within you, sometimes that can feel really challenging when I don't feel super inspired. And the first couple of months of this year have been so incredibly challenging. And so I will be honest, the reason that I wasn't here last Sunday was because I couldn't physically get up and stand on this stage. And if anybody saw the non-talk that ended up occurring on Wednesday at Elevate, you will understand why. And so I had to navigate what it was that was happening for me. Crippling waves of despair, of grief, of sadness, of there's something wrong with me because I can't live my life the way that I've been trained to live my life. I can't support people that I've been trained to support people. I can't do what I'm here to do as a minister in this world. The calling, I'm somehow mismanaging this calling. And yet, even in the midst of all that, new thought principles, oneness, divinity of all, personal responsibility. But I got to tell you, nowhere in there for me was I trying to feel something I wasn't at the time. For me, it was so much about allowing. Whatever it is that was coming up, the sadness, the grief, the despair, the overwhelm, the feeling broken, the feeling like, I'm not good enough, the stuff that I wrote about in my book. I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I don't have what it takes to be with all of it. Not to pitch a tent or build a condo there, but to be with everything that was arising. Because if we don't feel all the feelings, if we don't tend to everything that is bubbling up to the surface, if we try and shove it down because this is the way that we're supposed to be, then all of this stuff, it's going to get buried, but it's going to keep trying to come out, right? And so for me, it was about being as present as I possibly could be. And it was uncomfortable. It was painful. It was hard. But you know what? That's what growth can feel like sometimes too, right? Painful, hard, challenging, overwhelming. I don't know how. I don't have what it takes. And yet there's always this thing within us that knows. There's always this incredible, amazing wisdom and energy and knowingness that is forever, forever wanting to fulfill itself in, through, and as us, in, through, and as everyone and everything. And so it's up to us to let it, right? And sometimes that means feeling gross, feeling icky, sitting in the muck, while also knowing this is temporary. It has come to pass because nothing is permanent. We are forever changing. We are forever born anew, every single moment. And so I want to go back to the visioning where embodiment was our why at the very, very center of this super amazing values compass where there's a north, south, east, and west. And the how for the embodiment was through connection, knowing, relatability, and transformation. And so Sherry's going to do a really good job of explaining this at the AGM for people who are going to come. And boy, if you're a member, please come because it's going to be a very exciting AGM. But connection is kind of like what we're talking about this month about relationship. What is it that we feel connected to? How are we connecting? What does connection even mean for us? You know, are we aware of how powerful we are? Are we aware that even when we are feeling like life is going to hell in a handbasket and I don't know how to get through the next moment, never mind the whole day, that there is still that within us that is so pure, so whole, so profound that it is infinitely more powerful, creative, and resilient than any feeling we could ever have, any thought we could ever think, any story we could ever tell, any experience we could ever have. We are so much bigger and more powerful than any of it, all of it put together. How are we connected to our community? Do we know who our fellow community members are? Are we participating in our community? Are we helping this community to grow, to evolve? What's our commitment to this community? And then how are we connected to the world? We don't necessarily need to know what's going on in every single other area in the world, and yet what we think, how we show up in life, does affect what's going on elsewhere. So how are we choosing to show up? Because if we're worrying, if we're angry, if we're blaming and shaming and whatever, then that's going to go out into the collective consciousness, and that's going to amplify those feelings that then aren't necessarily going to empower or activate or enliven any kind of peace or love in other parts of the world, right? So we need to be aware of what connection means for us and how we're embodying connection. Knowing. This to me is trust. Knowing with certainty that no matter what life looks like, no matter what is going on, no matter how we feel, we are pure, essential love expressing. Period. End of sentence. You don't have to agree with me, but I am certain of it. Okay? Relatability. What makes us different? What's our secret sauce? What's sort of like the magic sprinkles that we have in our community that makes us different from any other New Thought community? It came down to relatability. And this is from the community. This isn't Sherry and I saying this is what we think. This is what the community was offering. That people feel at home here. People feel uplifted. People feel connected. They can relate to what they're experiencing, the conversations they're having with people. Relatability. And then transformation. I mean, if embodiment is our why, then one of the main things we need to be open to is transformation. Continuing to evolve, continuing to be open to the change that is forever happening from every single moment to the next and the next and the next. Because we can stay stuck in the routines, we can stay stuck in the habitual thinking, the behavior, all of the experiences that we had, just keep recycling them and like have very, very similar futures. Or we can open ourselves up to what is possible, what we haven't yet experienced, because if we are the infinite expanse of universe in action, if we are the infinite potentiality of the quantum field expressing, we're infinite in scope. That means that every single moment of every single day, we can consciously, intentionally choose to change the trajectory of our life with a thought, with a feeling, by opening our heart. A choice, a conscious choice. An unconscious choice can also make the difference. So a conscious choice is that much more powerful. Now, with all of the information and the insights we gathered, the 4 main values that came up for this community as it exists today and what it's opening up to are openness, authenticity, commitment, and love. The same 4 values that are in our monthly affirmation. So, at the beginning of this week, almost a week ago, the board nominations committee was interviewing potential candidates for the board for the election that's happening at the AGM next month. And the 3 things that we were focusing on were consciousness, commitment, and competency. And I was in charge of the consciousness part, and so I came up with 3 questions, and I would ask 1, maybe 2 of them, just so that we had enough time for everyone to go through their stuff. And the thing that was very, very clear from all of the people that we were talking to is that everyone is curious. Everyone is open. Everyone is looking forward to what can this community become, and also who can I become individually. And I'm saying this as, the nominees, not me standing here in front of you, although the same goes true for me. And so it also was about, personal responsibility. How is every candidate showing up in life? How are they showing up for the community? How are they showing up for themselves? How committed are they to their personal evolution and transformation? All of that was so neat to listen to because everybody was so confident. Even when they were unsure about something, they were showing up authentically Like we really were able to connect with them, and they were showing up with this openness of, let's create something amazing because this community is already evolving into something itself. So let's see what that wants to become. Not necessarily based on what this community or organization has been in the past, although there's good stuff that's definitely coming into, the now and then the future. But where are we today and where can we go? We have the power to choose. We have the power to direct. And when we do it with openness, authenticity, commitment, and love, which again are the 4 main values that are of value to this community right here, right now, there's no telling what we can accomplish. So back to the affirmation, when I tend to relationships with openness, commitment, authenticity, and love, I experience life as it truly is rather than what it appears to be. So going back to the most important thing in life is to be happy. I'm not dissing on Emma Smiley by any stretch of the imagination. Everything that I have learned about her illustrates what an incredibly dynamic, powerful, and insightful leader and visionary she was. And I would like to think if she were still here today at, 100 whatever years old, that she would also be totally super stoked about what is happening in this community and how it is moving forward in new and different directions and expanding beyond what it has been up until now. And so, what if the most important thing in life, which is the name of my talk, the most important thing in life is, what if it was to allow? What if it was to allow life to unfold more freely? What if it was to allow ourselves to really, truly embody the awesomeness of who we are, and then to trust, knowing with certainty that we are love expressing, and so just to allow it to come in through and as us, just opening us up to further expressing the love we truly are, not just for ourselves, but for our community and the world. What if it was to allow? Is it? I'm not standing here to tell you that that's what it is definitively. I'm just saying, what if? Offering you the opportunity. Because, one of the things that we're taught in religious science as practitioners, never mind ministers, is we're not here to tell you what to think. We're here to tell you how to think. Make up your own mind. Open your own heart. Take whatever it is that is being shared here and make it your own, whatever it is that works for you. Knowing that our teachings are founded in oneness, the divinity of all, and personal responsibility for creating our life. So for the past couple of months, the most important thing for me has been, and this is a quote by Matt Kahn, whatever arises, love that. And that's about being present with what is. It's not about trying to make things better. It's not about trying to fix things. Because honestly, if we go back behind all of the ideas and thoughts and concepts, there's nothing that could ever possibly be broken or damaged with anyone or anything. Because we are pure, essential love. We are energy. There's no limit. There's no beginning. There's no end. There's no box. There's no comfort zone. It's just forever evolving, forever expressing. And one of the most amazing things that we could do for ourselves, for our community and our world, is to allow it to express more fully. So, life is a never-ending journey, an ongoing creative process. It is spirit continually expressing and fulfilling itself in, through, and as us. And we as spirit continually rediscovering and more fully embodying the love we truly are. So my questions to you are, what is the most important thing in life? Is it to be happy? Is it to allow? Is it something else altogether? Does it change from moment to moment? Maybe there's no right answer, but there's definitely a right answer for you, and there's definitely a right answer for you for right now. And that's what I'm inviting you to explore and open up to. Because the more committed we are to allowing life to unfold freely, the more open we become to living life authentically as the love we truly are for ourselves, each other, and the world. Thank you, and so it is.